friends. Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Today's video is actually like a lot more serious than the normal videos I film. Normally they're a little bit more like funny or lighthearted, or it's more like tea or whatnot. And while we touch on serious topics, this is a topic that's really close to my heart and actually is something that I'm okay, just to give you guys some background. I'm currently in school for social work, and my goal is I definitely want to work with kids in some capacity, but lately more and more I have been having a strong pull towards child advocacy and doing things like that. I think especially since being on YouTube, I've made multiple videos about why I think, family channels are really problematic, why I think, people using their children to make money, especially in a space like YouTube, is really dangerous and really harmful and is going to cause really dangerous ramifications. I've made videos about that, but there's been a new situation that has come to light that is really, truly like deeply disturbing and very troubling for me. And I did want to have a conversation about it. And more so than just have a conversation, I really want to open this up to be broader and to hopefully send a message to YouTube in some way that they need to create stricter guidelines to protect children on YouTube. And I've had enough, honestly. This situation is like the straw that broke the camel's back. I've had enough. I'm pretty pissed about this, and I have a platform and I would like to use it to do something good. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about like my plan at the end of this. But Danielle Cohn she was a Musical.ly star, and then she started doing YouTube, and now she is a YouTuber. And for a while now, there has been some speculation about her age. You might remember her because a few months ago, her and her then 17-year-old, he was either 16 or 17 at the time, his name was Mikey, they did a fake pregnancy prank. It was like a 3-part video that kind of blew up. It got mainstream media attention and a lot of people were talking about it, and then it turned out to just be a prank, and people were very unhappy because doing pregnancy pranks is just insulting. It's a rude thing to do. Don't do them. But at the time, there was definitely a lot of speculation about her age, because being 15 and pregnant is, not an ideal situation, obviously, and being 13 and pregnant is really not an ideal situation, especially when the father, I think at the time, would have been 17. So a lot of people were really concerned about that, and then it was fake, and then I think people kind of like forgot about it. And then recently, Danielle's mother posted a picture of her the day Danielle was born, and it was her like in the hospital with the baby, and some really eagle-eyed people noticed and pointed out that on the hospital like bracelets you have to wear, people noticed that on the bracelet the date that Danielle was born, according to that picture, would have made her 13 years old, which is what people have been saying for a while now. Pretty much confirming that Danielle is 13 years old, which is what people have thought for a while now. And then her dad actually came out with a pretty lengthy Facebook post. I will insert it right here for like 10 seconds. You can pause it and read the different screenshots if you want, so that way you guys can get the full picture. So the very first part of his statement basically talks about how, I guess there have been allegations that Danielle and her mom, and mostly her mom, I'm really not going to refer to Danielle at all in this situation because in my opinion she's a victim of child exploitation. And I know people are going to be like, oh, you're over-exaggerating. No, I'm not over-exaggerating. She's a victim of child exploitation, and I think her mother is the perpetrator. So her mother was alleging, and also the reason I say that too is because Danielle doesn't have any full control over her social media accounts. Her mother is her social media manager. So everything that gets posted online, everything that goes through her mom. Okay, so her mom is the one doing this at the end of the day. Her mom, I guess, has alleged that the dad kicked them out, made them homeless, like didn't properly take care of them, and the dad basically started off by saying that's not true. They lived with me rent-free until she was 10 years old and started making money off of this, and I allowed her to be on social media, but I never liked it. And then the dad goes on to say that he, early on when this started, he found pictures of her on like Pinterest boards, and he was worried about pedophiles, which absolutely should be your number one concern as a parent. Posting pictures anywhere of your children, even if you just have like a small group, you have like a small Facebook page, still something you should be cautious of and be aware of. And he said as the pictures got increasingly more and more sexualized, he just like felt like there was nothing he could do. He was really upset about it, and he didn't appreciate her being on social media, basically. Okay, so the next part actually made me feel sick to my stomach. Basically, he talks about how he did allow her to move to California and allowed the mother to go with her and like do this career, even though he was pretty against it. But it was with the condition that she would visit and that she would send her school records to make sure she was doing well in school because she was 11. And that if any inappropriate pictures were posted, that they would be taken down. And he said instead of being taken down, they've gotten progressively worse and worse and worse. And that the mother even allowed her daughter to pose in like lingerie style photos when she was just 11 years old. And that was acceptable thing to post. And I think the really big thing for me is because Danielle was so young when all of this started, I don't think she fully understands the implications of what's being posted and what that could potentially do for her Twitter account. And just looking at her header and her profile picture, when you connect that to the fact that she is 13 years old and her mother is allowing her to do this, not only allowing her, but encouraging her to post things like this because it makes them more money and give them more likes, makes me sick to my stomach. And the father also calls out the Musical.ly apps and YouTube for never properly verifying Danielle's age, which I think is a huge thing that he needs to do. These apps and these websites need to be called out. There is absolutely no reason that 11-year-olds should be given a platform to post inappropriate things that could potentially put them in so much danger. So much danger. All it would take is for a person to put together like where she lives and I don't even want to think about what could have happened to this girl or what could still happen to this girl. It's sickening. It's so sickening to me. He basically also goes on to say that as a parent, he is supposed to be contacted to approve any work that Danielle does and that doesn't happen. He said he's tried calling YouTube, like Target, all of these brands. There's some energy drink that the picture she had to post for them was just disgusting. Like they had no problem profiting off of the sexualization of a minor. That all of these things, it's just disgusting. He basically said he is supposed to get called for approval. He has never approved anything that she has done. The mom is the one that is approving all of these working jobs, and that the brands that he has called care much more about money than they do about actually helping this 13-year-old who is in a dangerous situation. He also kind of touches on her dating older men, and to me, I honestly, like, there was a whole situation a few months back where her ex-boyfriend, not her boyfriend, literally she's not old, like, okay, so her boyfriend, the parents took away his social media and posted and was like, you know, we want to protect our son, he could go to jail, like, and I have to question if his parents really thought she was 15 and then found out and like freaked out. Because for her mother to knowingly not only let her daughter date someone who is 17 years old, right? Like let her 13-year-old daughter date someone who's 17 years old, which in and of itself is just awful to do something like that. To then go on to let her post a fake pregnancy video, help her plan this fake pregnancy party and allowed this to blow up for her so that everybody could see that this 13-year-old might have been impregnated by a 17-year-old. It's disgusting. Like, I can't understand the type of mindset you have to have as a parent to allow that to happen to your child, to put them in such a vulnerable position. I cannot imagine it. I am so disgusted, furious with this mother, but I'm even more furious with the institutions that continually allow this to happen. YouTube continually allows children to be exploited on their website, and they have set very little guidelines or standards to make this stop. And it is becoming a serious issue. I know that they have a couple new guidelines in place that are like supposedly going to help, but they need to be cracking down. These kids are being exploited, they're being overworked, and they're being used by their parents for monetary gain with no like guidelines of what money needs to be saved for them. How many hours a week are they supposed to be working? Like none of that is put in place for them. It is similar to what we saw in the like 70s and 80s of child stars who grew up to be just messed up because there were no guidelines in place to protect them. YouTube needs to step up and make a hard line on this. And honestly, I know some people, like I saw Colleen Ballinger's sister was all upset because her son's YouTube channel, he's like, I don't know, 6 or 7, got demonetized and comments aren't allowed to be posted. Good. Comments shouldn't be posted for children. People shouldn't be able to leave disgusting, they're like, well, they're targeting the creator. They're not stopping all, you know, they should be trying to delete pedophiles accounts. They can't. What is a person's just gonna come out and tell them? YouTube YouTube is protecting your child at this point more than you are, and YouTube is doing the bare minimum. So that says something. This whole thing sincerely pisses me off. I don't know if you can tell, I'm like enraged. I just have this gut feeling, like this horrible, horrible feeling that something really bad is gonna have to happen to one of these kids for YouTube to actually take this matter seriously, and it makes me so scared. I really was like hoping that Danielle Cohn and this whole situation with her would have been a wake-up call to YouTube that they need to start regulating things more. They need to have more guidelines. They need to put things in place to protect these kids, but they're just not going to at all. So my whole thing now, I am planning on no longer, because I actively contributed to the Danielle Cohn pregnancy thing when I made my video about it, because not that I thought being 15 made her old enough to make that decision, but it's definitely different than being a 13-year-old who is possibly being abused by a 17-year-old, her mother, and being used and abused by all these companies she works with. So I took that video down. It's no longer public, and I won't be profiting off of that any longer. And I've decided that I'm not going to be covering topics about kids who are under the age of 18 on my channel anymore. Most of the time I don't. I think Danielle Cohn was the only person I've ever talked about who was under the age of 18, but I won't be talking about kids who are under the age of 18 anymore, because I won't be contributing to sending drama and hate to the child. Because at the end of the day, I truly believe that Danielle Cohn is the victim in this situation. I think she is being used and manipulated by her mother, by all these other people around her for money, and she's being exploited for money, and I take issue with that. I will no longer be making videos about minors in any way, shape, or form. I'll probably still talk about their parents because I want to keep calling this out. This is an issue I feel strongly about. And the other thing I would highly recommend that we all do is, if you're angered by this and you're mad about this, don't just say you're angered in the comments. Go to your social media and tell YouTube that things need to change, because I truly believe that if enough people raise hell over this and show that they're not okay with this, email them, tweet at them, Facebook them, like Instagram them, like send them DMs, like let them know that this is not acceptable behavior. And they're gonna demonetize this video, and I don't give a fuck. I could literally give a fuck. These kids need to be protected, and YouTube needs to take a harder stance, and these parents need to be held accountable for their actions. And that is that on that. Like, end of story, end of conversation. So if you're angry about this like I am, please reach out to YouTube and tell them they need to start doing something about this. They need to start making harsher guidelines and protecting these children. They have to. I think that's it for me. This whole thing makes me so angry. It really does. It really infuriates me. I don't know. It makes me really mad. I love you guys so much. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just like, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I am wearing on my face will be linked down below, including a link to register to vote. Please go register to vote in your next local, state, and federal elections so you can be part of change. Everything we just talked about could be changed by policies and lawmaking. So make sure you use your voice to vote for those things. And if that link does not apply to you because you live in a different country, make sure you're staying aware about what's going on in your country. Make sure you know what's going on. Make sure you're using your voice for a positive change, because it's really important and we really need it right now. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!